What up, everybody? The Shy Season 7, Episode 8. Damian made a bet with Reg for 5 bands that he could answer any question about Michael Jordan's NBA playing career. So Reg asked him what was Jordan's total points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks in his flu game. And Damian was off by 1 steal, causing him to lose the bet, owing Reg 5 bands. And Reg told him if he doesn't give him his money by the next night, he was going to beat the shit out of him. This is after Damian already lost a bunch of money in a spades game, causing him to steal from Emmett to pay Hannibal the money they lost in that game. Even at the beginning of the episode, Damian went to a group for gambling addiction, but didn't take it serious and ended up having sex with a girl in the bathroom. So Damian went on to ask Dom and Bakari for money, who each gave him a band, and Jada gave him 2 bands, leaving him still short $1,000 of what he owed to Reg. So when he brought the 4 bands to Reg the next day, because he was $1,000 short, Reg beat the shit out of him just like he said he would. So when Damian got home, now living at Emmett's because his mom put him out because of his gambling problem, he probably stole a couple times from her to pay back his debts. Emmett asked Damian what happened to him, and he told him that Reg did it. And Emmett, being drunk, went to confront Reg. Emmett was already in his feelings and hitting the bottle hard because Reg's brother Victor had just came and talked to Emmett about getting into a relationship with his baby mama Tiff. So Emmett was drunk and needed to let his anger out on somebody. And Damian getting beat up was a perfect excuse for Emmett to go after Reg. So Emmett charged Reg and started punching him in the face, only for Reg to pull out his gun and shoot Emmett in the chest, leaving the question, is Emmett dead or alive? The episode 9 trailer doesn't give us an answer to that question, but it does give us a clue, because both Alicia and Jake are talking about what happened, and both them say the same thing, that Emmett was shot. Neither one of them said that he was killed. So this could definitely be a clue that Emmett survived. But on the other hand, it does show Keisha crying, Damian crying, and Emmett's parents crying also. During those clips, Emmett's parents and Damian all look like they're at the hospital. So if that's the case, that lets us know that Emmett most likely survived if he made it to the hospital alive before bleeding out. But a big factor in whether Emmett's dead or alive will be based upon what Reg did right after he shot Emmett, because he did look a little upset right after it happened, because he probably didn't intend on killing nobody that night, but it was almost like a natural reaction to pull out his gun and fire while being attacked. And Emmett really wasn't letting up on Reg at the time he got shot either. So if Emmett wouldn't have got shot, then I got to believe, even if he beat Reg so bad he knocked him out or whatever and left, I got to believe that Reg would have spun the block on him eventually anyway. I don't see Reg to be the type to let Emmett beat him down and just walk away like everything's cool. So the big question is, what was Reg's next move right after shooting Emmett? Did he call an ambulance, or did he just leave him there to bleed out? Similar to how he just stepped over Jamal when Jamal got shot right in front of him. Because the episode 9 trailer shows Reg still in the same apartment with Jake and Victor telling him that he needs to go. So because of that, Reg possibly left the apartment for a minute and might have called 911 for an ambulance. At the same time, because the fact Emmett was inside Reg's apartment beating him down, and Reg probably got bruises and cuts on his face from that, he could claim self-defense. Either though, Reg is a felon and wouldn't be allowed to have a gun, so that probably wasn't an option. So I definitely want to see what Reg did right after he shot Emmett, because this really puts Reg in a bad situation. Because even he did just want to put one in Emmett's head and kill him and potentially dump his body somewhere, at this point, I don't think Reg has anybody who he could call to help him do that. Not to mention, since it happened in his apartment building, even if Reg didn't call the cops or an ambulance himself, somebody in that building most likely did call the cops saying there was gunshots in the building. And since it's Jake's apartment, that's why I think Reg probably just called 911 and got out of there as quick as he could. and probably came back once things cooled down, and that's when Jake and Victor were telling him he had to go. Either though, Reg was still wearing a black tee in that clip, the same thing he was wearing when Emmett pulled up on him. So because of that, Victor and Jake might be confronting Reg immediately after. Either though, we've seen Reg wearing a black tee in a couple different episodes already, so that's just his normal style of dress, white tee, black tee, or wife beater. The trailer also shows Nuck pinning Jake up against the wall and telling him that the whole city's gonna be after his brother. So Reg didn't do himself any favors or make any friends by shooting Emmett, because Emmett's loved in the community as the owner of Smokies. He also has a relationship with Nuck, being that Nuck was Keisha's first baby daddy and they're co-raising Nuck's son. And even Reg's own brothers Victor and Jake have a good relationship with Emmett as well, not to mention whatever backlash he could potentially have coming from law enforcement, because the fact Emmett is considered a civilian, somebody with no criminal background and who's not in the game. The trailer also shows Nuck telling somebody to get eyes on Reg. Then it shows Detective Tucson across the street looking at Reg while he's on the porch at somebody's house with an address 720 smoking a blunt. Notice he's also wearing a black tee in this clip as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's hiding out at Dante's girl's house who he was flirting with. Keeping in mind that Nuck had just agreed to start working with Detective Tucson in episode 8 to take down Reg. Nuck has been getting counseling from Pastor Zeke and is trying to avoid dropping bodies right now if he can. So he sees working with Detective Tucson as a better way to take Reg off the board. But at the time, Detective Tucson told Nuck that he needed to befriend Reg so they could set him up. But now, after shooting and potentially killing Emmett, that game plan might be out the window. It might just be about finding Reg if he's wanted by the law. Because another potential factor that could come into play, especially if Reg didn't call the cops immediately and claim self-defense, is that if Emmett survives, when he wakes up at the hospital, at some point the cops, most likely Detective Toussaint, will be there to question him about who shot him. And the last part of the trailer to talk about is Alicia talking to Pastor Zeke for the second time now, telling him Emmett getting shot is a clear sign that there isn't any rules anymore. With Zeke telling Alicia that the problem is that she wants to be the one to make the rules, with Alicia replying that somebody has to. Keep it in mind that Alicia asked Zeke to find out who it was that was dropping all the bodies the first time they talked, and let him know that it would be beneficial for him financially if he did. But because of Zeke's loyalty to Nuck, he hasn't said anything to Alicia yet. Now knowing that Nuck is trying to take Reg off the board, will Zeke go along with that plan and also feed Alicia the lie, potentially telling her that Reg is who's dropping the bodies, and maybe even going as far as telling her the lie that Bakari already started to insinuate, that Reg was who really killed her son, Rob? And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.